Australia, for decades, has been a beacon for those seeking a better life, a land of opportunity beckoning immigrants from across the globe. Its vast landscapes, thriving cities, and promise of a fresh start have drawn countless individuals and families. They came with dreams, aspirations, and the hope of building a brighter future. However, a shift is underway, a change in the tide of migration. The bustling airports that once saw the arrival of hopeful newcomers are now witnessing a different scene. The once welcoming shores of Australia are witnessing a new phenomenon, a significant exodus of immigrants. Families and individuals who once saw Australia as their new home are now packing their bags and leaving. This is not a sudden crisis, but a gradual shift. A slow burn fueled by a confluence of factors. Economic challenges, shifting political landscapes, and evolving societal norms all play a part. The reasons are complex, interwoven into the fabric of Australian society, economics, and politics. Rising living costs, job market fluctuations, and changing immigration policies are just a few of the elements at play. Understanding this exodus requires delving into the heart of these issues, unraveling the threads that have led to this turning point in Australia's immigration story. It's a multifaceted issue that demands a closer look at the underlying causes. The narrative of Australia as a land built on immigration, a multicultural success story, is being challenged. The rich tapestry of cultures that once defined the nation is now facing new challenges. The image of a welcoming, diverse nation is fading, replaced by a more complex reality. The dream that once attracted so many is now being questioned. The Australian dream, it seems, is losing its luster for many who once dared to reach for it. As they leave, they take with them not just their belongings, but also their hopes and dreams for a better future. A crucial factor underpinning this shift is the declining public support for high immigration levels. Once a point of national pride, Australia's multiculturalism is facing growing skepticism. The narrative of a harmonious, diverse society is being challenged by concerns over social cohesion and national identity. Public opinion polls paint a stark picture. Support for immigration is waning. The once broad consensus on the benefits of immigration is fragmenting, with growing segments of the population expressing concerns about its impact on the economy, housing, and social services. This shift in public sentiment is not happening in a vacuum. It is fueled by economic anxieties, concerns about job security, and competition for resources. The rising cost of living, particularly housing affordability, is often linked to immigration, further eroding public support. This shift in public sentiment has not gone unnoticed in Canberra. The nation's capital has become a focal point for debates and discussions on the future of immigration. Successive governments, both Labor and Liberal, have responded to these concerns with policy changes aimed at curbing immigration. These changes reflect a growing desire to balance economic growth with social stability. The era of open doors and a big Australia vision is fading, replaced by a more cautious, controlled approach. This new direction seeks to address the challenges posed by rapid population growth, such as housing shortages and congestion. The current Labor government, led by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, has pledged to reduce net migration, recognising the strain it places on infrastructure and social services. This move is seen as a response to public concerns about the sustainability of high immigration levels. The opposition, too, has adopted a more restrictive stance with calls for even steeper cuts to immigration. They argue that a more selective immigration policy is essential for maintaining the quality of life for all Australians. These policy changes are multifaceted, targeting various visa categories. From student visas to skilled worker permits, the government is scrutinising every aspect of the immigration process. The focus has shifted from permanent residency to temporary visas, prioritising skilled workers over family reunification. This shift aims to meet the immediate needs of the labour market while controlling long-term population growth. The criteria for skilled migration are becoming increasingly stringent, making it more difficult for even highly qualified individuals to secure a pathway to permanent residency. This tightening of rules reflects a broader trend towards a more selective and strategic immigration policy. The COVID-19 pandemic has left an indelible mark on global migration patterns, and Australia is no exception. The closure of international borders and the imposition of strict lockdowns brought immigration to a virtual standstill, disrupting the flow of people that had become a defining feature of Australian society. While borders have since reopened, the pandemic's impact on migration is far from over. The initial shock has subsided, but the aftershocks continue to reverberate, reshaping the landscape of Australian immigration in profound ways. The pandemic has accelerated pre-existing trends, highlighting the vulnerabilities of a system heavily reliant on temporary migrants. The economic downturn triggered by the pandemic has led to job losses and wage stagnation, making Australia a less attractive destination for skilled workers. Section 5. Economic tremors, the ripple effects of reduced immigration on Australia's economy. The decline in immigration is already having tangible effects on the Australian economy. While some argue that reduced immigration will ease pressure on infrastructure and housing, others warn of the economic consequences of a shrinking workforce and reduced consumer spending. One sector feeling the pinch is education. International students, once a lucrative source of revenue for Australian universities, are staying away in droves. The closure of borders and the shift towards online learning have diminished the appeal of an Australian education. The economic repercussions extend beyond education. Industries that rely heavily on migrant labour, such as hospitality, agriculture and healthcare, are facing staff shortages and rising wage pressures. The lack of skilled workers is hindering productivity and growth in key sectors of the economy. Section 6. Education in the balance, international students and the uncertain future of Australian universities. The decline in international student enrolments is particularly concerning for Australia's higher education sector. Universities, heavily reliant on international student fees, are facing significant budget shortfalls, forcing them to cut courses, lay off staff and scale back research activities. The impact is not evenly distributed. Universities in major cities, with their established reputations and diverse course offerings, are better positioned to weather the storm. However, regional universities heavily dependent on international students are facing an existential crisis. The decline in international students is not merely an economic issue, it has broader cultural and social implications. International students bring diversity, new perspectives and a global outlook to Australian campuses. Their absence is diminishing the vibrancy and intellectual richness of university life. Section 7. The housing crunch, a scarcity of shelter in a land of plenty. The housing crisis in Australia is a complex issue with multiple contributing factors. It is a multifaceted problem that has been brewing for years, affecting millions of Australians. The lack of affordable housing is not just a symptom, but a significant cause of economic inequality. While immigration is not the sole cause, it has undoubtedly exacerbated the problem. The influx of people has increased demand for housing, but the supply has not kept pace. This imbalance has led to skyrocketing property prices and rents, making it difficult for many to find a place to live. The influx of migrants, particularly those on temporary visas concentrated in major cities, has placed a strain on housing supply, driving up prices and rents. This has created a highly competitive rental market where properties are snapped up almost as soon as they are listed. The housing affordability crisis is felt most acutely by low and middle-income earners, who are increasingly priced out of the market. These individuals and families are finding it harder to secure stable housing, leading to a sense of instability and insecurity. The dream of home ownership is becoming unattainable for many, forcing them into insecure and often substandard rental accommodation. This situation is particularly dire for young people and first-time homebuyers who are struggling to save for a deposit while paying high rents. The housing crisis is not just an economic issue, it is a social crisis. It affects the very fabric of communities, leading to increased stress and mental health issues. The lack of affordable housing options is tearing apart the social cohesion that binds communities together. It is creating a generation burdened by housing stress, struggling to make ends meet and unable to plan for the future. This stress is not just financial, but emotional, affecting people's overall quality of life and their ability to participate fully in society. This, in turn, is leading to social fragmentation and a decline in overall well-being. The housing crisis is a pressing issue that requires urgent attention and comprehensive solutions to ensure that everyone has access to safe, affordable and stable housing. Section 8, a global phenomenon. Australia's immigration reckoning in a world of tightening borders. Australia's immigration reckoning is not happening in isolation. It is part of a broader global trend of tightening borders and stricter immigration policies. From the United States to Europe, governments are grappling with the challenges posed by globalization and the movement of people. The rise of populism, fueled by economic anxieties and cultural insecurities, has contributed to this global shift. Political leaders are increasingly responding to these sentiments, adopting more restrictive immigration policies to appease their base and consolidate power. This global trend towards stricter immigration policies has profound implications for the future of globalization and the free movement of people. It raises questions about the values of open societies, the benefits of diversity, and the role of immigration in fostering economic growth and social progress. Section 9. The uncertain future of Australian immigration. The future of Australian immigration remains uncertain. The confluence of factors driving the current exodus, declining public support, government policy changes, the pandemic's lingering effects, economic anxieties, and the global trend towards stricter immigration controls presents a complex and challenging landscape. Whether Australia can reclaim its mantle as a welcoming and diverse nation, a land of opportunity for those seeking a better life, remains to be seen. The decisions made today will shape the nation's demographic trajectory, its economic prosperity, and its social fabric for generations to come. The challenge for Australia is to find a sustainable and equitable approach to immigration, one that balances economic needs with social cohesion, and that upholds the values of compassion and inclusivity that have long defined the nation.